Larry, with getting bowl eligible, just what that means for the program as a whole. You've been a part of different staffs over the years, and what that gives to you, what that gives to the package.
It gives you an opportunity to actually capture an extra spring ball. So you take that, you take those 15, and you take your spring ball, and you actually get 30 extra practices in there during the time of year where guys really make some improvement. Not having to be, get ready for a game, but you go back and take them back to just core fundamentals and technique and those type of things. So it's for where we are with some of the young guys we got, it couldn't have been at a better time. We need that.
With recruiting, can you still offer kids right now? You can, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's your discretion to offer?
Yeah, we're still going through our process the way we always go through it, and extending some offers to kids, and still doing business as usual.
So big commitments, everything, same.
For you, how much of that is, we've talked about the learning curve of the coach, now the recruiting aspect as a coach, how is that going?
I've always been fortunate enough to be involved heavily in the recruiting, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and the way we recruit our recruiting areas, so you recruit all positions in your area. So, and we've always kind of had an open dialogue of how we, recruit and how we offer kids and the process that we go through. So. It's just part of the lifeblood. When you first get into the business, that's one of the areas when you're an off-the-field coach that you really focus in on learning and doing a good job with. So it's pretty natural, pretty part of the job.
Obviously, with the coaching change, I guess you guys allowed one more coach to start recruiting, right? Who was it that was?
Kareem Brown.
Kareem Brown.
Yeah,
okay.
Kareem
And
Brown.
where does he primarily handle? What area do you get?
He's going to take over some of the parts of the area that I had, the South Miami area and the Tampa area.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with when kids decommit at a time like this? Because obviously there's been a couple of them that have done that in the last couple of days. What's sort of your message to the rest of the recruiting class when kids start to see that?
Well, it's just like anything else. If you make it a huge deal, if you make it like something like the sky's falling, then that's what it is. The recruiting is just that. It's a process, and you got to go through it, and it's long. There's going to be several kids change their minds 2 or 3 times before you get to February 1. So it's just keep taking it all in stride, keep recruiting them. Obviously, we're committed to it. And you want them here, you want them to be Miami Hurricanes. So we'll keep recruiting, and we'll also keep evaluating and keep the process going.
So many kids sometimes just commit to the coaches because of the relationships and they like a particular position coach or the head coach. Do you guys at all try now to just get kids that want to come to Miami no matter what, that love the program? Is that more of what you're looking for?
Well, kind of at the end of the day in recruiting, no matter where you're recruiting, you hope that's kind of what it is. Because for a kid to be special, his heart has to be really into the school and the city and the place that he's going to be in for him to really reach his maximum potential. So always, you always have to sell the university, you have to sell the area that they're going to live in. You sell all of those things along with the relationships that you build through the selling process. So it's really the product and the resources and the things that you have as a university to offer the young man educationally and socially that you hope are at the forefront of the decision anyway.
How often do you call the commitments and check in with them and just sort of say, hey, we still want you here?
Yeah, right now we communicate with them constantly on social media, and then we're allowed 1 call a week during this time period right here. So we're talking to them on the phone, once a week, and some guys call in more than that when they do call in, but we're allowed to initiate 1 call.
When do you guys do that? On this weekends, I'm guessing, Sunday? Or?
No, we usually do it sporadic. Some coaches handle it in different ways depending on who the kid is, and a lot of times we handle it in the evenings when we know kids are done with practices and stuff like that. Through the week, we'll have call periods.
And outside of the one that decommitted the day that was inspired, then there was a couple of weeks where the class was remaining intact, and then now we just recently had a flurry of a few guys leave. Why do you think that was?
It's just time, the time and those things, and they're still being recruited by other schools, and of course, how that can be. Things are said, and however, you just work through it. You kind of work with the kid. Tell them, listen, University of Miami wants you here. We want you to be a Miami Hurricane. We're still committed to you, and just continue with the process. And like I said, that recruiting, man, it goes all the way up until you get the signed signature page.
How tough is it to deal with, Larry, just from this perspective of you as a coach? You obviously don't know what the future holds for yourself. How do you sort of convey that message of, hey, still coming?
Miami's a special place. You just continue to sell the brand, you continue to sell the university, the educational opportunities that they get here, and the tradition of the football program. That's what you continue to sell. That's what's most important to them. And those are the things that, like I said, you want a kid's heart when he decides to come to the University of Miami. And for him to be a special player, he has to come for those reasons.